All right. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of Talks with V. I'm super excited because it's like 7 episodes in, and we've had so much great content and some amazing guests. And this evening, we are talking about Me Before We. And we are streaming live here with the HBCU Lounge Network. And so, if you are just getting in here, we're going to give it a few seconds and please feel free to share this with your friends, your loved ones, just anyone. I'm sure you all have singles in your life. If you're married and happily married in a great relationship, I'm sure you have some people that you know that are single and they're out here struggling in this dating world. And so tonight we're going to talk about basically just getting yourself together and making sure that you're in the right place before getting into a relationship or getting married, which is the ultimate goal for some of us. So, oh, happily. Well, and some people are happily divorced, but these are still tools that you can learn just in case you want to do it again. So, welcome everybody. And this evening, we have author and friend of mine here on the show joining us, and that is Mr. Travis C. Patterson. He is a certified coach and author and speaker, and so glad to have you today. So, thank you. Welcome, Travis.
It's good to be had.
It's good to be here.
I'm serious.
Definitely,
We've been
definitely.
talking about this for feels like the opportunities felt like years, but
I know. Well, it kind of has been, the pandemic and just everything going on. And then you were getting married, you were engaged at that time, and now you are happily married. Since when? Last year, September?
Juneteenth. So
Oh,
June.
Juneteenth. That's right. That's right. Juneteenth. Oh, so it's a double special day.
Oh, it's a double special. I'm going to be talking about Juneteenth for the rest of my life on purpose.
Oh, that is so awesome. That is amazing. So I absolutely love it. And our conversations are amazing all the time. I'm like,
I
we
know,
could do
right?
a couple, we could do a couple of shows.
I know.
So
I know. Like last time we were talking, no cameras, no, no one watching, and I was just like kicking back. I was like, man, this is some great conversation. My wife was over there like, I know she's so good.
I know we got to have one episode with her joining us so we can kind of talk about um, some relationship stuff and being newlyweds. Maybe we'll have a show on something about that. But we definitely have to get her on because I know she has to be amazing.
She would love it. She love it. She loves talking about relationships. A lot of her friends, always ask her for advice because they see us as being like a
Their
good
couple, yeah,
situation kind of thing. But it takes work,
definitely.
behind the scenes, but also having that communication. So what you see in front of everyone else is just it's not hard work at that point. It's more so just let's remember what we came to do, which is represent each other, respect each other, and help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and get into. I want to let you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, and how many years you've been doing this thing,
Oh,
because you have a lot of experience in a lot of areas. So definitely.
it's when you said it because I feel like that's my actual go-to strength. A lot of people say like Travis, I remember when you was a chef. Travis, I remember when you was working for a staffing agency. Travis, I remember when you was in media, and the career change is what I
Uh-huh.
started really focusing on is how am I able to not only switch careers but get a great job, every single
Mhm.
time. How can I get interviews? And that's always been my strength since 18 years old. I'm 34 now, so which it doesn't feel like that was that long ago. 18, but I think I've been working since I was like 15 years old, but
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Time, it really starts to fly. I remember my grandmother used to say that once you get, I think she said, once you get about 25, that's when life just starts flying by. And she was right. I don't know. Like, it just seemed like when I turned 25, like, I was just blinking my eyes and I'm like, wait, hold on. How old am I? I'm 30 now. Like, what? What's going on?
Right. I can totally relate to that. I mean, as soon as I turned 25, I think I turned 29 next. Like that's how it felt.
It is skipped. It is
So,
skipped.
but
Uh-oh.
I love what I do. I'm a human resources professional, and while sharpening my skills as a interview coach,
Yes.
I couldn't help but develop an understanding of how relationships work. So,
Right. Exactly. Exactly. That's what I feel too, as well, since that is my primary job as a HR professional, and it just goes perfect because
yeah,
I feel like I'm very passionate about that, and I'm passionate about motivational speaking and helping people heal and just giving them the tools, and that's what HR is, as well, is being able to give
serve
people the
my
tools.
customers.
Yeah, well, a lot of people, especially that employee relationship piece is so important. Well, it's important anyways, but a lot of people don't like to do it. But for me, I'm the weirdo that does, because I'm like, oh, we can solve this. It's okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna fix it, girl. And so, but you're providing them with the tools so that they can be successful, and that is what I do with motivating, as well, with the motivational speaking piece. Any opportunity that I get to speak or help out and speak to young people, speak to women, speak to men, speak to whomever.
for sure.
I love it, even though I always get nervous, but I love it because I know that. Oh my God, daughter loves me. Oh, that's so sweet. But yeah, like any
Yes.
opportunity, that I get to do it, I'm really excited because I get excited knowing that this person is on their way to winning. If I can do anything to help you win and help you to be
Yeah.
successful, um, that in your own way, the way that you want to be successful, then it's just like, ooh, it's like, it's so good.
You know, it's hard to replace that feeling when you truly created a transformation in someone's life, no matter how you measure it.
Definitely.
It keeps you
Definitely.
back to it every time.
Oh my gosh, so amazing. Well, this evening's conversation we're talking about is me before we. And it's just so interesting because the last few weeks we talked about confidence, we talked about unconditional love and boundaries, all these different things that
Yeah,
I believe are very important. How I got my start with the, creating content.
for sure.
It was with my original show, which is virtual first dates,
Yeah,
and now it's all about setting people up, an experiment, doing extensive interviews, use my HR skills with that,
I see it.
interviewing them, and then matching people to go on a date, and then they went on live dates. But one thing that I realized, through that, and as well as the participants, is that there's still some work to do. That when one person is doing the work or in the right place in their life, we'll say that,
Yeah,
then the other person isn't, right? And it doesn't mean that you may not come across someone that is the right person for you, but sometimes it's a timing thing, right?
it is. 100.
And right. And some people, we get discouraged, when the timing is not our timing. We're like, no, 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 I want it now. I'm ready for the wife now. I'm ready for the husband now. And it's just like, well, they're not ready. Right. And
Exactly.
so I think that that really just kind of made my wheels start to turn and say like, well, we need to figure out what this is. We are having a disconnect between us and in the Black community. But I'm even speaking wider. Just all of us. Um, I hear everyone say that the dating pool has pee in it, and all these crazy things, and it's just like, does it? Have I been in denial? And I really got to see that it's not necessarily that it's pee in it; it's that people are not they're not willing to do that work, that inner work on themselves, and just kind of, you know, get real with them.
Yeah,
They want to do any and everything. They're trying to figure out any way that they can get all the things that they want without doing the work, right?
yeah. And I feel like if you rewind the clock back, let's say, you know, 20 years, um,
Mhm.
you can always tell the climate of relationships based on the type of music that is out.
Oh.
And I remember one point in time, every song, that was out was about how you can serve your partner, how you can help your partner, how can you get your partner back. Now
Mm.
the song is like, get away from me. You can't be too
We
close.
just cooling it,
We
you
just,
know.
I was like,
Oh,
so is that what relationships are? Now, it's
oh
just
my gosh.
you
That
can't
is
be too aggressive. You can't connect with them. You can't just be straightforward. You have to
mhm.
be on a relaxed, type of vibe, as people say. So I don't know. It's like I can understand what they're saying is that the relationship pool is tainted, but
Oh,
I think if you just kind of take your time,
take your time, and but that's, and then this next generation, I mean, I feel like we're just I can't even say next generation because I feel like it's just bleeded all over. It's cutting across a couple generations, and we all just out here, and it's a little crazy. It's like, okay, I thought I didn't have to deal with this anymore. I'm not in high school, I'm not, just starting college or anything like that, But it's no, we're all like dealing with it in
yeah,
different, generations. And if you're single, or even, some people say you're single till you're married. I know this lady from my church used to say that all the time. So in that case, we are all like experiencing, this new way, right? But it's so funny that you said that about the music because it is so true. Like this music is it's so aggressive. It's so like, really, I'm all about getting mine. Like I'm not, worried about you. And before it was like, oh, I want to love you.
yeah.
I'm trying to prove this to you. I'm trying to give you the world.
It's
It
like
was
family,
it was nice.
now. And you're the lady who go to your church. I mean, I feel the same way. You're unemployed until you hire.
Right. Listen, I had to tell that to my girlfriend the other day because she was just saying that an experience that was going on, and she was just like, "Well, if this guy's got a girlfriend, then why would he want to be out catching up with an old friend?" I said, "Listen, honey, you don't know what's going on. You might have been, the person that he's been checking for a good little minute, and
That's right.
he's just like, let me see
Yeah,
before I go over here and just, settle all the way down.
right.
Let me see if there's a possibility. Because if there's a possibility, he may not, don't, he may not be the person that's going to cheat or anything like that. He
Yeah,
may just end things, but he wants to see like, okay, do I even have a shot to shoot? And I said that's a possibility, and it could just be nothing, but leave it open because y'all, you're not married. For a man, what I've been learning from man is that if he ain't put no, at the very least, put a ring on your finger, the deal is not sealed.
I feel like as long as there's open communication and not any side business or
Hmm.
I'm gonna do me, but I'm gonna lead you on to think that I'm all
Right.
into you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. Until you're married, date. Really find yourself and find who's what you like. What the
Right.
man is, but don't lie. Don't
Don't
tell.
lie. You got to keep it real because there's too many people who will still date you, be with you, and you can tell the truth. And it's not like, it's not really even about that being like a player. It's just about what, in dating. This gentleman had said in one of these rooms I was in on Clubhouse, he was speaking, he's very wise. He was just saying, like, you're supposed to date to eliminate. He was just like,
Right.
everybody trying to keep and hang on to every person that they meet. Oh, this might be the one. This might be the one. He's like, you're supposed to date to eliminate, collect this data, and see like, is this person someone that you can be a partner to? Because the worst thing is for you to not do that, get married, and then get divorced in a year, or get divorced so quick because you really didn't, get to know that person. But more importantly, what we're talking about tonight is you didn't get to know you. You didn't, figure out you. So, um,
Yeah.
what, right? I mean, it's so important. And so, anyways, I had this little quote that I wrote up in the post, and that is, everyone seems to want to fall in love or be in love, but have we asked ourselves the question? Do I fully accept me,
Yeah.
or and can I honestly say I love myself, or that I have self love? And you hear that term thrown around. We even did a show about it. And for me, it kind of bothers me when we, say one thing, but we kind of sweep it under the rug and don't actually like live by it or don't even know what it means, but we're busy saying it.
Right.
And
Sounds
this
nice.
is, huh?
It sounds nice for sure.
Yeah, it sounds nice. And one conversation that I always bring up is I was watching Oprah one time, and she was referring to an interview that she had with someone, and he said, once you call a tree, or once you label a tree, you'll never see a tree again. And some people are like, okay, well, what does that mean? And to me, I just thought it was so powerful because he's basically saying that once we label something, once we name something,
Yeah,
we have this arrogance about ourselves that we believe that we know everything about it. So we don't have to think about it anymore. We're just like, oh, it's a tree, and and then we kind of like move on.
yeah,
And when I heard that and really let it sink in, it made me think about how that transfers to relationships and how it transfers. I mean, just in all the different relationships that we have. How when you get into a relationship or you're married, it's like, oh, that's my wife, So they're just like, oh, it's just his wife,
just
It's like she's a whole person, a
right.
whole human being who has a personality. She
And it
has
has a whole lot
aspirations,
of
right?
goals.
Exactly, exactly. And so, yeah, I thought that it was just so important for us to kind of like get back into that and really understand, well, what is this self-love, thing? What is fully accepting ourselves? And have we done these things, or have we just labeled it and we just talk about it like it's, taboo, and we move on and never really look at ourselves
For sure.
and and love ourselves. Like, you love yourself, that's just absolutely just falling in love with you. It's a
Absolutely.
great thing to do it, like,
It's
so.
a funny thing. My wife, she always told me that she imagined that she would marry someone who was pretty much just like her. And
Mm,
she asked me, she was like, do you desire someone just like you? It's like,
mm,
oh,
right,
I've been with myself for 30, years at the time. I know me, very well, and I'm always evolving. So I'm not bored with myself, but I can
right.
argue with myself.
Mhm.
I can have whole disagreements, and there's some things I don't like about myself. But I can change those things about myself that I don't like. If there's something in you that is just like me, then I'm just gonna be looking at a shadow of who I was, especially if
Right.
I'm evolving.
For sure.
So, I mean, I never wanted to be with somebody just like me. I knew that there's strength in differences,
Definitely.
and I figured we can build on that, and we'll always have something to talk about. When she comes home, or
Mhm.
I'm coming in, from anywhere. I think that there's always going to be some type of thing that we don't know about each other's day. So,
Right.
10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line, we're still learning things about each other. And it's okay.
Right.
It's the journey, that's the purpose.
No, for sure. It's you grow, like when when you have someone who's around you who you're close to and you are different, you're learning, new things, their perspective, the way they see life, because
Yeah.
they're, seeing life, through a different, lens, because of their experiences. And so it's like you get to learn or relearn some things, and maybe it's a better way,
Yeah.
maybe that way might make you, happier about that, subject or topic. But also I always say, if you're with someone, a whole human, sharing space with them, and you say that you're bored, you're just lazy. Because
You also
you
have
gotta be, you gotta be
to,
lazy because it's like there's so much,
right.
to learn, But that's one of the fun parts of relationship. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. It's so fun, or things when you learn something new about your partner, and then you're like surprised. You're just like,
Yeah.
wait, what? So
I'm
you
always
did
learning something new
that?
about it. I mean, this is our fourth year together, but
Mhm.
I promise it feels like the first year. Just
Mm.
it's always something new. It's always something interesting, and it's
Mhm.
not that we're going out every night. It's still the pandemic for the most part.
Right. Okay.
I live so close to Atlanta, Georgia, so there's a lot of things open,
Right.
And you would think that there's nothing going on outside,
Oh
but
no, not in Atlanta.
yeah,
It's going down.
yeah, it goes down. But we spend so much time together in the house, and if we're on one side of the house, she's on the other side, and she's on the other side of the house, we find each other, and it's like we miss each other still.
Oh,
You know, and
that's
it's,
so
it's
cute.
my favorite thing. It's
No,
definitely
definitely. Well, so back to the topic here. Um, so I wanted to ask, well, just it's kind of rhetorical, but how many times do we say that we have self love, and then maybe an hour later, a day later, turn around and you're doing something that is like not to your benefit, that is not showing yourself self love, or it's just outright bad, for you. That happens so many times, and I just wanted to kind of pull up some stats of what I found. They say that most commonly reported major contributors to divorce is the lack of commitment and infidelity. Is next, and then conflict and arguing. And
mm,
so it kind of makes me think, well, how are you able to really commit to someone else if you haven't committed fully to accepting you and getting
right.
to know yourself? And so
Agreed.
that brings me, yeah, so that brings me to self acceptance. And I just want to hear your, feedback on this after we go through it. But so self acceptance, it seems, self explanatory, right? And if you ask someone, they would say, yeah, I accept myself and things like that, because we lie to ourselves all the time. Not saying that some don't, but, accept themselves. But in a lot of cases, we just say it, right? It's a treat,
Yes, sir.
right?
It's the fake it till you make it. You wanna be positive to yourself. You want to treat yourself well, even though you don't feel well or you're not at that place where you want to be.
Right.
Um, but you will lie to yourself just to make sure that, yeah, I guess if it sounds good in your ears, that
Right.
you'll get there, or eventually you'll believe it.
Right. 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 And you can just get through,
Which I
but go
think
ahead.
daily, if not, I mean, for some people hourly. I mean, and that's probably a critical case. But I would say
Mm,
daily, there's probably something every single day that someone is saying, okay, today I'm really going to start this diet. Today I'm
mm,
really going to treat my husband or wife, well. I'm going to show them the romance that they've been asking for.
mm-hmm.
Today I'm going to stop procrastinating and start that business. I'm going to stop procrastinating and get that job. I'm going to apply for that job. Uh,
Right.
I'm going to call my father or my mother, and I haven't spoken to them in years. Today is going to be the day.
Right.
But I think subconsciously, we're constantly choosing. I was just listening to an audiobook called The 4 Hour Work Week,
Mm,
and there's a portion of it. I want to say like chapter 3. It's talking about ways that and it's not about relationships. It's about business, but uh,
right.
it's about ways that we intentionally choose to let things distract us, to pull us
Mm.
further away from the goals that we're actually supposed to be going to.
Oh wow.
And it's because there's ideally people or humans, make choices based on two principles. They either want to go closer towards pleasure or further away from the pain.
Okay.
So if you're going closer towards the pleasure, obviously, Netflix is right around the corner. I can go watch this show, or I
Uh-huh.
can do this project, or I can go do this thing, right? Whatever this thing that I'm procrastinating about, or
Right.
including just having a simple conversation with my spouse
Mm-hmm.
that may change and brighten up the whole mood of the house. I would rather
Right.
go drown myself into something that's going to distract me from the real issue of my
Right.
relationship. So the question
Mm,
is, how often do we lie to each other about self-love? Do you really care about yourself in a way where you're not going to lie about
right.
treating yourself well, let alone, someone else? Is
Right.
often.
Right. And then the self acceptance piece, too, because it says that self acceptance is defined as an individual's acceptance of all of their attributes, positive or negative.
Mm,
When we are self accepting, we are embracing every part of ourselves, not just the positive things. And that is huge, because is that what we're doing? Or are we conditioned? Because I think A lot of times when we are, domesticated, we've been taught to be someone else since birth. When you really think about it, you have your parents who read their little, read the parenting books, or they just learn from their parents or someone close to them that's like, oh no, you got to do it this way, and this is how your child can thrive, and this is what's gonna, make your child the best child. Like they're gonna be something to brag about, if they do X, Y, Z. So you're being trained to be this representative from birth,
From birth.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people are telling you there's not like really that window that's saying, oh no, let the real you shine out, like just shine. Like we want to see what makes you unique, unless it's like nowadays, sometimes that will come out, starting to be embrace the uniqueness. And sometimes they just take it to, they're not, it's not even their unique thing. It's something totally different. They're just trying to seem unique.
Absolutely.
But we're basically, being taught not to accept ourselves.
Not to.
And yeah, and that's really scary. And like I told you, I kind of think that is part of the reason that we have such a problem with the mental health, because if you think about it, if I'm someone else and you're teaching me to be someone completely opposite of who I really am, there's an internal war, going on. Like there's all this,
Yeah.
conflict, internal conflict that's happening. So,
I can
you
relate
know, go ahead.
immediately because the first chapter of a book that I'm writing right now called The Interview Activator. I'm
Mm,
talking about since we're able to start forming sentences and maybe even reading a couple words, we've
hmm
been we've been interviewing for the workforce. That first interview question that people ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up?
mm,
Like they're asking you that, like you're supposed to have your whole life figured out
right.
at the age of 5. What do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a fireman. Whatever. First thing that comes to mind.
Mm,
And as you just said, you're taught to stray away from that. Oh, okay, that's cute. But then the moment you actually get to a point where you can start applying for jobs, 16, 17 years old, you need to get you a real job. Now
right,
you then they're pulling you away from that thing that they was so-called encouraging you to do,
right.
or giving you a choice.
Right. That dream, it's like getting squashed. And it might have been squashed when you were little, oh, well, no, you're not gonna be no president with that, what else you want to do,
What else
or or they just say, oh, okay, that's cute, like you said, and not really encourage you to really like dig into that and dive deeper. And so yeah, that unique thing, it kind of gets shunned, like no, no, that's not, there's no time for that. Like that's not what you got to make some real money. Like that might take forever to make money. We need you to make some money so you can get up out this house, or or so people can take you serious, like you ain't gonna get no woman working that job, oh, you wanna have
It's
a
so sad. It's so sad because when the parent doesn't know all about that career or enough about it, they're not going to encourage you to do it because if
exactly.
they don't know how
That's
you can
true.
be,
It's true.
how can you tell V how to open up an art gallery, downtown somewhere, if you don't know where the money comes from? You don't know,
Right.
you never even been to an art gallery, so you don't understand, how that even opens up. Um,
Right. So it's like a pipe dream. You're like, no, I can't help you in that area. So it's not an option.
it's not enough.
Crazy.
I want to
It's,
ask you. I want to ask you a question. Based on
yeah,
what you said,
of
were
course.
you nosy as a
Oh,
child?
definitely, definitely.
As a child,
But I love the term when I finally heard this term is inquisitive. So
inquisitive. Now, it's
so that
something
sounds positive.
that is positive, but that's the difference. So I was nosy, but come to
Mhm,
find out, I was inquisitive. When
mhm.
you're younger, there's so many different qualities that you have that will eventually relate to something when you get older and make
Definitely.
you successful in your career. But
Hmm.
if parents don't understand how to cultivate
Right.
trait about you, as you just said, they're going to redirect you to something that they feel like you should be. This is good. This is bad. Why
Right.
is being inquisitive bad? Why is being,
Right.
curious about how different things taste, how different things feel, how high up can I climb? Why are these
Hmm.
things bad? They just redirect you. So I think
Right.
to the purpose of what we're even talking about tonight is self-love. Are you willing and brave enough to explore those things that even as a young child that you were redirected and really
Right.
discover if this thing is really about you or not.
But yeah, some of y'all still knows it. Yeah, you're right. Some are. Some be caring and
Yeah. And guess what? Journalists get paid to be nosy.
they get exactly. Come on now. Thank you, Travis. That's why you're my friend. And
Right.
so yeah, and so this conversation is really just a conversation and less of an interview because it's just a discussion that needs to be had, and that's what we do here on Talks with the V. Is we have those conversations that need to be had, raw conversations, just keeping it real, you know. And so the next thing I wanted to talk about before we go into some other questions is the projecting piece, right? So working on that, you know, with the projecting, that is something that we need to discuss, right? Because
Right.
a lot of times, like I said, we don't know the definition of some things, and will do them unknowingly. Um, I'm sorry, yeah, unknowingly, and then keep living that way, right? And so,
You ever had somebody who miss you, but then they don't know how to express that? So
yeah,
they,
they do weird things
yeah,
to
they
get that point out. You're like, what are you
like, well, get out there. You don't need to be here. Like, what you're really saying is that you want me to be here, but you don't know how to actually be vulnerable enough to say, to be
right?
honest enough with yourself to say, you know what, I have missed you, since you've been
Mm,
out doing XYZ. Can we
right.
spend time today?
Well, definitely, definitely. And then we're going to kind of go into that about, well, I'll go to projecting first, and then we'll come back to this other question about self acceptance.
Mhm.
So, with projecting, and this is interesting because I didn't know this, projecting refers to unconsciously, that word is important, unconsciously taking unwanted emotions or traits you don't like about yourself and attributing them to someone else. So, a common example would be a cheating spouse who suspects their partner is being unfaithful.
Faithful. Because
So,
same
what
thing.
exactly, because it's you know, like because you got this going on and you're feeling guilty about this stuff, but instead of you working through it
Yeah.
and then not projecting it onto someone else, you just say, it's got to get out, it's going somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead. Go ahead if you
Yeah.
had
I was
something.
just gonna say that I think toxic behavior and communication is not always intentional. It may be, as you said, a subconscious
Hmm.
bias or even an unconscious bias,
Right.
based on how you may have learned certain things. Bullies, bullies, they project on the people. You're weak, you're dumb, you're stupid, you're fat, you're small, you're whatever. Whatever it is about you, they're going to try to project. But
Right.
really, oftentimes, it's the insecurity.
And they've been bullied, possibly, by their parents or abused, and
Yeah.
so
And
they're
that's
like,
how they feel,
I can't do that to this person who's doing this to me or making me feel that way about me. So I'm going to do it to someone else who I think is weak,
Exactly.
or
I'm
weaker than me.
you small little girl. But really, I'm just saying, I really want to lose weight because I'm not comfortable in this size.
Right. Right. 100%, 100%. And so that kind of goes into back to the self acceptance piece. That
If
so
you're
the
going
question is can you have a healthy relationship,
to,
or marriage without self acceptance? I mean, and we know the answer, but I would love for you to
no,
answer.
I'm gonna bring up something very real.
Okay.
Um, so I told you that different people come to us and ask
Mhm.
about relationship advice. That is not my business. I'm an interview coach. I talk about how to get jobs, but
Hey, the job, you securing something, so you might be secure in a relationship. The job that they trying to get is a housewife
or a husband,
or
or
a husband. Yeah, exactly.
say happy wife, happy spouse. No, happy spouse, happy house. So
Yeah, there you
so
go.
people deserve to be happy. So
Amen. Come on
there's a
now.
there's a person that I've come across that I'm just gonna call him Bob. So Bob, he
Yeah.
has a problem with a couple things. He has a problem with porn. He has a problem with
Okay.
um, escorts
Okay.
as well.
All right.
Just got married.
Mm.
And told Bob told his wife, let's call her, Felicia,
Oh, Felicia. Wow.
and it's like, yeah, I'm done with this. I don't do this anymore. They were upfront with it, but
Hmm.
because of the insecurity and because of not actually accepting that, I still have a problem with this.
Hmm.
Little issue, or really a lot of issues, big issues, populate and bear bad fruit in their relationship. So it's kind of one of those things where you start one lie and then it always leads with so many other lies to cover up the last lie. And
Right.
in that relationship, it just has become a fortress or a castle of both of them deceiving each other because one person is not happy, this person is wanting to be happy but not able to be honest enough with themselves to say, I really do have a problem, instead of, no, you got the problem, you're the one that's not,
Right.
you're the one that's not doing what I need to do. If you were doing what I need to do, then I wouldn't have to go over here and do XYZ. So I think there's several things, and I think I feel like we're friends, so we can talk about this a little bit more in detail. But I think once an individual learns how to strengthen, let's say, their emotional intelligence,
Hmm. Hmm.
then they're able to begin the path or the journey of self acceptance. Uh,
Mm.
because if not, then you have a lack of understanding of yourself and others, and you will always find fault in someone else instead of
Mm.
putting that mirror in front of your face first,
Exactly.
to say, how did I contribute to said problem? How did I
Right.
make this situation? Should I have done something before I proposed,
Right.
to her?
That's
So,
hard.
or can she help me? Did I get with her hoping that she will be a distraction from this problem that I had? But now that she's not, now I'm making her the problem, or I'm helping her feel that she's the problem, and now I'm
Right.
damaging her.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And that you just brought that home with that how the projecting and the self acceptance tie into each other, and how yeah, your partner, no one's gonna get to be happy around you because you haven't got to fix that in yourself, and your emotional intelligence allows you to be able to accept you,
Yeah,
um, because you're just able to deal with all of that. Those feelings. You understand that these are emotions. This is a human thing, and in order to keep living and to keep going forward, I have to get comfortable with this, and that increases your emotional intelligence, which then allows you to accept yourself, and then you're not projecting all over the place. And so that's really something that I believe is important. And so if so with self acceptance, will we say that this process, we know it's a constant thing because we're always changing. So do you
yeah,
think that this process gets easier?
it does.
Okay.
I look at it like this, and imagine a train, running 45 miles per hour, and you try to
Hmm.
throw, a little, pebble onto it,
Hmm.
hoping that it would hit this one place into it. It's kind of hard to do that because wherever you are, you're growing, and wherever
Right.
you're trying to project to or connect with, they're growing. Hopefully, you're going in the same direction.
Right.
But I think that when you are in a place of I don't accept, who I am, it's kind of hard to ever be on the same pace with whomever you're with. So
Yeah.
if you are able to at least take a moment, get into a quiet place, and just think to yourself without any distractions, cut off social media, don't take
Hmm.
too much information, close off
Hmm.
the world, and just really think about who you are, and even write it down if that helps you as an individual. And
Yeah.
little things like that will help you build up your accountability for yourself before you start projecting onto someone else.
Yeah, and it does. I think that it does get easier the process. Well, I mean, I guess I thought that until you said that about you moving. But if you do get a partner where you guys are you have the same goal, headed the same direction, then it might get a little bit easier. But just in life, um, I think that that self acceptance gets easier once you do it. Because
Yeah,
once you do it, I think that's the hardest part is in the beginning, like saying, okay, I want to accept myself. Like I'm gonna get real. Take this time and be honest with myself and transparent with me first before anyone else and vulnerable with me and accept me and fully accept me where I'm at today. And I'm going to change, right? I'm going to change because we're constantly growing. We're live, right?
that's right.
And so I'm changing, but hopefully I'm changing for the better now that I have accepted myself, at least where I was, and then I can kind of be on track, with me as I continue to grow. So
It's
yeah.
it's so hard. It's so hard to like talk about relationships without talking about my wife. But obviously,
Yeah,
I've
that's
had
okay.
prior to my wife,
Mhm.
and I would say that there were plenty of times in my past where we were not growing. Like someone in
Mhm.
my past, we were not growing at the same rate.
Mhm.
And how could I accept anything about them if a lot of things I hadn't began to truly accept about myself? Uh,
Yeah.
I remember you and we had a conversation, and this is I know we've kind of talked about different parts of life and business and career, but to bring it back home to relationships,
Mhm.
um, you and I have something in common. We're
Mhm.
both outgoing. We're both friendly. We're both
Mhm.
extroverts.
Mhm.
That doesn't always translate well to someone who may have an insecurity and
Mhm.
think that you're always flirting, you're always doing this.
Right, 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 right.
And I used to deal with that a lot of times. So,
That's
honestly,
what we talked about the flirty spouse so that maybe having that conversation or as a topic in the future. Can you handle that?
yeah,
A flirty
it's such
spouse
a loaded
or an
conversation. Yeah,
outgoing partner. Yeah.
it's such a loaded conversation. And I remember the first time I actually just sat down and I asked myself, Travis, were you flirting with that person in
Right.
front of your, at then girlfriend? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was.
Oh yeah, I was.
But I was flirting with the intent of taking her home or to,
Hmm.
whatever. Obviously, we together right now.
Hmm. Trying to
Because
get the business deal. Just play.
yeah, like but I feel like it's as you just said that I can relate to that I didn't because self-acceptance, I didn't learn how to turn it down or turn it off
Uh,
because I'm always looking to build my pipeline up of
right, right, right.
who know
Well,
me, who like me, people who will answer the phone when I may be lonely at some point in time.
mm. Or
So
especially when you're in sales, like your job, that makes it kind of hard too to turn it off if depending on what your career is, because some of these careers you really go far with likability. It doesn't mean that you have to like let a person think that they could date you, but like let a person feel like,
comfortable.
oh, like you like me too. Like like you like being around me as well, which I mean, obviously when you're married or in a relationship, it can be dangerous.
They can be. They can be. I've let go of so many relationships that were
Hmm.
good, but
Hmm.
it. But I didn't have a problem doing it because the people who knew me that I eventually had to let go, a lot of them they didn't even give me the chance to let them
Mm.
go. They respected me enough because they knew me prior to say,
Yeah. Okay.
I know that when you got married that was going to be the end of
Right.
you know
That's right.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I didn't know how I was going to have this conversation with you, but for sure.
It's good to meet a man that is real with himself and can comfortably or comfortable, comfortably, comfortable with sharing the truth. Yeah, that is. it's super important. It's super important to be able to keep it real because a lot of times when we be lying to ourselves, like why are you lying to yourself? Like
When
you.
nobody's watching, just
Like, no, exactly. Like, come on
uh,
now. So, well, next I wanted to talk about how do you identify projecting? Like, how do you identify uh, that you're projecting?
so this is a very real experience that I've had. So
Okay.
um just got married, this past June. We did not live together prior. Um we dated, we stayed in two separate homes. So for the first time, we're learning, each other in a way that
Mhm.
we just hadn't before. We're
Right.
experiencing each other like, wow, like, oh, you leave the toilet tissue the other way, the
Oh,
book stuff. But there's a lot of other stuff that people don't really, get into like that. But that was
hmm.
a lot of times I didn't realize that I wasn't apologizing enough.
Mm.
And
That's good now. Hold on. It's getting good.
I mean, it was a thing where when you alone, you're single, and
Mhm.
you just accountable for yourself. You make
Right.
a mistake, you be like, "Damn, I shouldn't do that," or you just let me fix this. You don't even think about it. Or
Right.
if you do something that was a little borderline, you don't have to forgive yourself. Half the time because whatever your reasonings were for doing certain things, you
Hmm.
tell yourself that and you feel okay with it. But so for the first time, there were, I mean, a series of things for the first probably few months
Hmm.
of our relationship where, you know, she called me out. And I love that she do. Like, I'm like, no, you just saying, are you serious? I did that. She was like, you don't say you're sorry as much as you used to, or say,
Oh, so you're getting comfortable.
yeah, I became very comfortable. And here's the issue. So you're talking about projecting. I
Hmm.
realized that some of the things that I was uncomfortable with, because growth is uncomfortable,
Hmm. Yeah.
I was projecting my insecurities
Yeah.
about certain things. I was projecting this is the way I've always done it, you know,
Hmm. Hmm.
thing onto her.
Hmm.
So you must be wrong,
Right.
but I'll walk away and because I have a love for her as an individual, as a person, and a
Right.
respect for her, not just you, my wife. So you're gonna do what I say, but no, I care about you as a person. I
Right.
gotta read her face, and she would tell me without any words that there was something that I did that wasn't the way it should have been done. So it's probably
Right.
something I need to apologize for. But with pride, and this is another way of projecting on my end,
Hmm.
I didn't apologize authentically.
Oh, see, in that, ooh, like I can't stand that. Like, because then you're just like, you don't even mean it. Like, don't do it if you don't mean it. It's fine. Just
So I
don't worry
did.
about me.
So I just didn't apologize a lot of times, but I was like, you know what? I need to
Yeah.
really sit down and think, just get with
Right.
myself and say, okay, why was this wrong? How did it make her feel? How would it make you feel? And how can you communicate about it? How can you communicate about something you never needed to apologize before?
Hmm.
So, just and it wasn't like a mole, or a mountain worth of issues. It was just a lot of little the small things that people experience when they first get married and start learning each other for the first time. But
Right.
after
So
a while,
right. So you would say that, how you were able to identify, the projecting, it was really, because that, this person you love is holding this mirror up like what, and
that
calling
marriage,
you calling you out like, no, that ain't me. But buddy, it's
I think a
you.
lot of people don't care to look in the mirror,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they will completely avoid it, and it will continue to be everyone else's fault. It will continue to be
Right.
no, you're the problem.
Right.
I mean, I think the moment you really have a deeper respect, for
Right.
the person you're with,
Yeah.
yeah, you'll take a moment to get that thing right.
Right. And reflect. That's amazing. Um, so next we have deal with your own baggage so no one else has to. And that listen, honey, when you're being real with yourself, it's like, yeah, exactly. It's self-reflection is a mofo. For some people, it is. And that's what we're talking about. Deal with your own baggage so no one else has to. I heard something the other day, and I think she said, I go to therapy because the people in my life don't. And I'm like,
That's something.
right, right. And so dealing with your own baggage, so no one else has to. That goes to like if you deal with your own baggage, you're not going to be doing that projecting thing. You are going to actually be more open to have better relationships and better experiences.
For sure.
But I wanted to ask, so have you ever jumped into a partnership, relationship, whatever, where you hadn't dealt with your own stuff and or
Yeah.
dated someone or got in a relationship with someone where they had a bunch of baggage and they haven't even thought to do a once over.
I mean, I think because I'm always gonna, well, not always. I would like to look at myself first before I start pointing the finger at, well, you need to get this right. Um,
Right.
I realize, and I'm really about to unload on you, real.
Okay. Let's
So
get it.
I realized that I was dating this girl when I was 18.
Okay.
Um, she was pregnant with my child. She was working, and she lost the baby.
Oh wow.
Um, I went off to the Navy, and actually, I think by this time I was actually back. I was back from the Navy,
Okay.
and she she always wanted another child, and
Mm.
and our relationship was very much rooted in, we have love for each other, but we have so much more love to give that we
Hmm.
want to invest in a child together.
Right. Right.
Children, we still children ourselves, that that was, when you're in the thick of it, when you're at that age, whatever you're experiencing, that feels like the whole world.
Everything. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So after that relationship, I still had so much more love to give, and
Mm.
I constantly found myself. I was looking for something I was attracted to, and I noticed a little trend. I was always looking for someone who had a family, who had children already.
Hmm.
So that was my type. I was looking for someone who already had. It was a phrase that I heard for the first time.
Ready-made family or
Yeah,
something.
ready made. You want a ready made family? I was like, I don't mind. I want to make my own family too, but I mean, yeah, I mean, it makes it easy. I can just go ahead and jump right into it because
Right.
I
Right.
I do have a lot of love, and attention to give, and for someone who is not, prepared to have a family or want a family or anything of the sort, they may be suffocated because I have
Hmm.
so much love to give that they may not be willing to accept it all at one time. So instead of me, and so this is my baggage at the time.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of me, like, getting into a relationship where they're single, they have no children, I just continuously went around the same circles of get into a relationship that had that box that I could check, and
Uh-huh.
failure, and we'll end up breaking it up. And I was constantly doing the same thing until
Yeah.
I just kind of just had a moment, with myself, and I just didn't
Work
date.
through it.
I did not date for some time. Um, I think the longest I went was like 5 years of
Hmm.
just not dating at all.
Hmm.
8 years of no sex because I was always trying to make a baby.
Mm.
Obviously, prior to marriage, and with my maturity and my faith now as a Christian, obviously I don't want to have a baby before marriage and marriage,
Right.
but that was my baggage, and that was
Mm,
just completely unfair, to anyone I was ever going to be with, because I was
right,
always trying to, at the time, either get them pregnant or want or wish that they had more to give
right.
than they
So
had
that
to
you,
offer.
right, because you just had that overflow. But and I'm going to skip one of the questions that we had because this really ties into like with your book, your book that is titled "The Single Husband." Don't shout for the people. Everybody I've told about this, but they're like, wait, hold on, wait, what? They have this. They don't know how to take it. They're like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And so one of the questions that we had, and it kind of ties in with what is the difference between dating with a purpose and being the single husband? Because I know a little bit about the book, but for those who don't, explain that. What is the difference? I'm dating with the purpose, courting and stuff, and being a single husband. So share with us about that.
All right. So first and foremost, if you're on Instagram, follow the single husband, and follow me, up there, Travis C. Patterson, because the book is not published in the public yet. I've
Okay.
only I've only given it out to like a certain people because it's a very vulnerable piece of work for me. Coming from HR, I know you want to wear
Hmm.
this HR hat and you don't want to be perceived anywhere, anything different
Hmm.
professional. It's a lot of real content, real life experience in this book that people will, learn about me. That I think it's finally time to share it because I've accepted.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
it's my
And,
past, it's my experience, and it's also a part of me.
right.
So, a single husband.
Yeah. The
It's
single husband. And what is the difference between dating with a purpose and then this being a single husband?
so I think in order to understand that, I would have to say for me, dating with a purpose is okay. Are you do you have an agenda? Do you have a
Mhm,
reasoning? Are you connecting just for the sake of connecting? Or are you dating to marry? Or are you
mhm,
dating to have a distraction? Are you
mhm,
dating because you want someone to draw you away from your pain or bring you towards pleasure? Any
mhm,
choice that we make is always, oftentimes, are going to be boxed into those.
mhm.
And for me, I was like, I'd rather just not even date, for 5 years, if that means that I'm going to constantly um, put myself in situations I'm going to have to just break up with them anyway.
Right.
But the single husband is a twofold journey.
Okay.
And it's all about maturity, about, getting to know yourself as an individual. I mean, even as a single wife, just getting to know yourself as an individual.
Mhm,
Because I had so much love to give at such a young age, I knew that I wanted to be married, like
mhm.
super, I wanted to be a family man. So
Right.
every single person that I dated, they received love that they did not earn.
Right. Okay.
And it constantly put them in a situation where I'm actually single, but I'm treating them like they are my wife, like they are my
Right.
king.
Right.
And
They get
because
husband benefits.
they get the husband benefits, I'm paying bills, I'm putting groceries in their home.
I
And
need a single husband.
but what did they earn? Because they
Right.
oftentimes, if you receive benefits that you do not earn, you don't respect it, and
Yeah.
you just take it for granted.
Right. Right. Right.
I think because I continuously kept putting myself through that situation and hurting myself
Hmm.
in every single situation, um, I eventually just flipped to the other side of that. I became
Hmm.
hurt people, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I started hurting. I mean, it wasn't necessarily intentionally, but I felt like, well, if this is what they want, they want Mister. I wanted to be Mister Right, but
Right.
the women that were hurting me, they wanted Mister Right now,
Right.
not
Exactly.
right, which is a chapter in the book. So that's when I became. Well, I eventually started that path of being the husband or the dedicated, but I was also still being single. So the paragon, it shift completely. Now I'm hurting folks. I'm out here
Hmm.
not really taking accountability for my issues, for my problems.
Hmm.
It's a full journey of and until I actually met someone that would set me on a different path and really just help me self correct, uh,
Yeah.
that's where the journey really changed, and it's a whole other journey after that as well.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. I think that that's important for us to know, and I think that your book is going to be, it's going to do amazing things because there are some people who are operating that way. There are, even for me, for the longest, people always thought I was married. I'm like, but I'm not. There's
I
no
think
way.
too.
I'm not married, not yet.
Yeah, I
But
think it's the thing that we have in common is that even before I got married, people thought I was already married because I carried myself like
right.
I was already taken.
Exactly, and that's exactly what I'm saying. So for the longest time, if I had something to read, that I could connect with, like, dang, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing that same thing.
Yeah,
Just treating people like they get these benefits and they haven't earned it. Like,
I haven't earned it.
I don't do that though now. I
Right.
stopped doing that a long time ago. But at one point in time, I was doing that, and it's a compliment that people think that you're married because that means that you operate a certain way. It's just like when they come across you and they're like, "Oh, I already assumed you're a Christian." It's like, "Oh, okay," because of the way that you carry yourself, and that's great. Um, but but like I don't want to be like off the market beforehand. Like I wondered then how many people maybe like just kind of kept it moving because they were thinking like, oh, she's married, she can't be single, and stuff. But for me personally, I like
Yeah.
a man who I like a man who will try, fight. They know what they want,
Yeah.
and they're gonna make sure. They're very diligent.
You're gonna get that because
Yeah.
if you put on this armor of
Mhm.
I am a good woman, I am respectable, I'm virtuous,
Mhm.
I am not a cheat, I look like I'm married already. If you put on
Right.
that armor every single day, then everything else that is not attracted to that will
Hmm.
not approach you. So now
Right.
you're cutting out the fluff, you're cutting out the distractions, and now you're giving an open line for the right person to
Right.
come to you. Now it may take a while because there's two
Yeah.
types of guys from that point. Either it's going to be somebody who's like, "Hey, she looks so good," or "I like the way she do that," or "I like the way she ordered that drink. I like that drink too, but she look like she's scared." I'm gonna go say something anyway.
Right. 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 Be bold. Be bold. It's
That
gonna
might
take that.
that might be your man right there. Versus like, wow, she is so beautiful, so gorgeous. I don't see a ring on her finger. Maybe she just forgot it at home. I don't know. She looks like she married. I'm not just not gonna, and then they just go about their life
Yeah.
business. You probably don't want that person anyway.
Oh no, I definitely don't. Yeah, and I was just gonna say that. Like, I don't want a person who will just quit. And sometimes I've gotten advice from older people that are like, oh well, make sure of this because you don't want them to think X, Y, and Z. Or even guys at the cigar lounge. And there was a guy who came over to a group of me and my friends some time ago, and he was just like, well, when you're going out, you're going with your girls or whatever, like, don't go, where it's too deep, where it's too many of y'all, because that gets kind of intimidating. I said, well, I don't want a man who gets easily intimidated. Like, why are you intimidated by a group of women? Like, if you come and you come with respect and you approach, me, excuse me, I hate to interrupt you all's evening. Looks like you guys are having a good time, you know, all you beautiful ladies. I just wanted to come and say hello to you because I thought you were very beautiful, and I would like to get to know you, and maybe we can exchange, contact and get together, when you're free. Boom. Come on now. Like,
Exactly.
why would someone get offended by that, or why would you be intimidated by this group of women? I guess you've been shot down, and you're like, I don't want to get shot down in front of all these women. That's the projecting,
Yeah.
because it's not that I'm going to shut you down, but you've had that experience. That's been your experience, and you are kind of insecure, and so
It's
you don't want to get shot down in front of all these women, right? get I need someone who's gotten past that, who has gotten to the place where they are confident in themselves and
right.
they can say, that person may not be interested in me, but I know what I bring to the table, and that I'm a valuable man, that,
Right.
I'm a good man. And so, yeah, that's how I am. So,
But
but you get used to that. When you hear that, it kind of makes you think like, should I change? Should I not be, like how I am? Should I not move the way I move or what? But it's just like, no, no, no,
no, not at all. I think there's a big difference between um, what a person sees
no, no.
and how things look.
Right.
What a
Truth.
person sees, I see them, I see a bunch of beautiful women over there sitting at a bar. I think I may go approach all of them, but I really want to just talk to that one.
Right.
Why just that one? It's because how things look. This one person looks like they are not necessarily looking for a bad time or just a one night type of fun type of
Hmm.
thing. This
Hmm.
person looks like they're not attracting that Mr. Right Now or that bad guy. I think I may want to go and see. And I mean, even the approach that you did. I hope guys are watching this right now.
Yeah, that was free. That was free, y'all.
It was good. Like what you did. Like that's something I have done in my past. I would approach a group of women. All of them are beautiful, but there's one person
That
that
you
I'm
got your eyes set on. Yeah.
because of how things look, not compared to what I actually saw.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, oh yeah, so how everybody doing tonight? My name is Travis, and I'm acting like I own the place. My name is Travis. I'm hosting this thing.
Hope
Uh,
y'all having a good time tonight. They treating you
y'all having a
good.
good time. If I can, hey bartender, or whatever they need. Um, hey, look, real quick, what's your name?
Exactly. Exactly. No, but that, I mean, that's so important, to walk in that confidence, walk in that confidence and have that self-esteem. But to get back on track, what we're talking about, that, the single husband and dating with a purpose. But I want um, to talk about something else. This is our last question. And it's about forgiveness, because that's another area, that we have to look at, or get to look at, within ourselves before getting in a relationship, or, married. Is that part, and how important is forgiveness before getting into a relationship or marriage? And would like to just hear your perspective on that, because I think it's very important. But a lot of times you don't even realize that you need to forgive someone, especially when it comes to yourself, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I think forgiveness comes on multiple levels for for different parts.
hmm,
Um, we are three-part people.
hmm,
We're
hmm,
our souls, we are our mind, and we are as far as our thoughts. We are a body,
hmm,
and there's so many things that we experience as a whole person. And I
hmm.
think the moment there may have been experiences that you didn't forgive yourself that you didn't have, and you
Yeah.
go through a relationship thinking, man, I wish I would have did this, or I wish I should have did this, or I should have did that, shoulda, woulda, coulda, did that, the third, and you get in a relationship now, you have these regrets, and you're with this person, you should have forgave yourself for the things you didn't do, or if you really want to be with someone, is there a reason why you can't have these experiences, with who you're with now, or as far as
Right.
you are willingly saying, hey, I want to share my life, my time, and my goals, and
Everything.
my things I didn't do with you before. I think another part of forgiveness is not just about things you haven't done, but maybe the things that you
Hmm.
did do. Well, what is it very important? Is it
Very important, as important as healing. Both need to be before beginning a new relationship. Yes, thank you, Miss Dimples.
I think even when it comes to things that you have done that may
Mm,
not have been the best thing for you to do, did you forgive yourself?
yeah,
You um, well, not to be too dramatic. I thought about so many different things that a
yeah,
person need to forgive themselves for, but uh,
right.
there may have been some really unfortunate things in the past that before you move on to a relationship, you may need to get some healing, some conversation going, some
Yeah,
um, and don't be afraid to have a professional
hmm,
conversation about getting
yeah,
it.
yeah,
So I think forgiveness definitely comes on multiple levels. Um, things you hadn't done, things you have done, but of course, be willing to show a little grace.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
who you're dating, they may not be. You may be dating for potential, and they're not at this point yet, and
Right.
you are not forgiving that they haven't reached that level. And after a year or two or three or four, uh,
Right.
did you reach that level, or whatever you were comparing, her to, or whatever you're comparing him to? Um, how long did it take, you to reach whatever level that you sought out? Uh,
Right. Just
so
putting yourself in that person's shoes, having that empathy. Um, Empathy, not sympathy, because they're different. But yeah, having that, so that there's that flexibility, that wiggle room. And I heard that from some couples, um, I think it was Boris Kojo and Nicole.
mhm,
They were talking about that, and he had mentioned basically having that, like, that elasticity in your relationship, because you're not always going to be, on,
that's right.
and not, ever make a mistake. And so if you don't have that in your relationship, knowing that grace is there, that's going to be very, it's going to be very stressful in that relationship, because there's already pressure, and then there's a whole nother level of pressure
Don't
that's
need to add extra pressure. Like, give yourself permission
yeah,
to make mistakes, respectable mistakes.
right. Thank
As much as possible.
you.
Fail often, so you can learn from it and you
Mhm.
grow with that person. But obviously, infidelity, don't fail that way. Again,
Right.
respectable
Don't feel that
ways of growth.
way.
Just
Exactly.
give yourself permission to fail. Give yourself permission to fall and learn, and have a little grace that how you are perceived and how you learn may not be the way that they learn, and you can't force certain
Mm,
experiences on that person to help them level up or elevate. So
absolutely. Absolutely. No, I totally agree. I totally agree with all of that you said. And just for the audience and anyone who is watching now and will be watching later, this is not about being this perfect, completely without flaw person. No, it's just about loving yourself enough
to go through the journey of
to
healing
go through the journey, yeah, of healing, and offering your best version of yourself.
at that
Like,
time,
yeah, at that time, and then continuing to grow, because I don't really understand how you would want to be with someone and make all these promises, to them about what it is that you want your relationship to be, and you are knowingly coming to the table knowing that you kind of half, half doing it, and that you, my favorite word, raggedy, still, and you haven't worked through those things. It's just like, no, like, at least I can say I am the best version of myself right now, and I'm still working on me,
that's
But
right.
I love me enough. I love you enough, to make sure that I've loved me enough so that I can, come
Be
with it,
you. Yeah.
Yeah, come with it. Bring it all to the table. Like, what's up?
People
Like,
people
it,
always say, let the relationship be 50-50.
no,
Be 100, 100.
100. See, that's why we friends.
Yeah, we see it, like we're right there
In
on the
my
same page.
head.
Um, because I mean, how good are you? Just being 100 doesn't mean that you fulfilled everything that you're ever going to do and you've checked off every goal and you
Right.
are the best that you're ever going to be. It
You're
means
still
that
wrong.
you know yourself enough to bring, as you said, the best version of yourself at
Mm-hmm.
this time. You're
Right.
owning your moment.
Right.
You're fully present into who you are, and you, even if you haven't healed from everything, being healthy enough to have a conversation to say, I really want to be with you, but there's some things that um, alone I probably it probably be best that I am alone before I get married. I can't take
Mm-hmm.
you out. I don't have a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my money is going into my business, and I haven't had a consistent job in years, but I
Right.
also have some bad spending habits.
Right.
If you're willing to, put up with all of that, or maybe even help me,
Mm-hmm.
learn from some things and build up financially and have a better insight about wealth, then please, let's go out on another date.
Right. But that's no, 100%. Because uh, that whole conversation about like, well, I'm really trying to, I'm dating, but I'm really not trying to get, too serious because I'm trying to get my money right and get my finances in order. Brother, you don't need to be dating.
Right.
You don't need to be dating.
Because
I mean,
cash dating.
right, right, because it does, I mean, even yeah, it does. You're just not ready for that. And what all that comes along with it, it's just like, well, if you're not ready to have a real title and to be committed, you understand that you're not ready for the dating process. Or if you're out here and you're having sex before marriage, you're not ready for that either because a baby can come. And then if your finances ain't in order, they're
Right.
really not going to be in order once Junior come through.
That's right. That's right.
So
Good preaching. You're doing some good preaching.
So listen, for everybody who went to church today, you're getting a double dose. It's your second word, okay?
That
But
is good.
I mean, and that's just that. I mean, I tell it to my friends that are my guy friends. I let them know I'm like, it's better to come from me, your friend, than someone that you're dating. Because when you're dating someone, you're all embarrassed. You don't really want to just be completely honest because you're just like, oh shoot, she might back out this and that. I'll tell you, like I'm your friend. Let's work it out. Get yourself together. What are you doing? Did you go to school? What are you good at? Okay, maybe if you've done a job for 7 years, you might want to apply for the supervisor job,
That's
you
right.
know, or the manager job because you know how to do this job if you've been there for 7 years
Right.
and you're not on a disciplinary action. You're not on a performance, no PIPs, performance improvement plan.
Right. That's
Um,
right.
apparently, you know what you're doing. So then you have to kind of just believe in yourself. You know what I mean? But do that. Get your confidence together. Get your, self love in order and self acceptance, and bring the best version of yourself. And that's to me good enough. So.
Love it.
Well, go ahead. If you have any last words, I would like for you to share them and then share how people can get in contact with you.
Actually, I want to ask you one question.
Oh, okay. All right.
And you've interviewed me, so we're both HR professionals. So I'm bringing a question to the table as well.
Okay. You're
Uh,
trying to get this job. When you interview, you're like, oh, you got to come with three good questions for the employer so they can know that you really,
interested.
you're really interested. You've done your research.
I mean, but instead of me being interested, because obviously I do have
Not like that.
this ring here, but I imagine that you being such a bright personality, and
Mhm.
I imagine you probably have a lot to give because you are a lot. I feel like you are a tremendous person.
Thank you.
Um,
And I am team too much.
are would you be willing if the right man came into your life? Would you be willing to remove all of your male friends that have any type of percentage of interest in you?
Oh, okay, that's a good one. Yeah, I think this kind of question comes up. Yeah, I totally would. I totally would because for me, even though I have that bubbly personality and interact with a lot of people, uh, I I really like to be respectful to my partner. And to remove all doubt. Like obviously you have to have that self-esteem, and I supposedly shouldn't be the person that makes you feel some way about yourself, right?
Right.
As Cat Williams says, it's called self-esteem. So, but I do believe that sometimes our partners can make us not feel as secure in the relationship. And for me, I would never want that. I've experienced that in relationships and I didn't like what it brought out, in
Yeah.
me. And
Yeah.
so I definitely would not want, to even play that game, with my partner because I'm aware if I know, this person is interested in me, like that, and then we talking and stuff like that, and I got a husband or a serious relationship, I'm not gonna be chilling and hanging out on the phone with this person who is like, well, If that man mess up, you know, you got my number. No, no, no.
or that famous line. Shoot, if I was him, I would do.
Exactly, exactly,
You really want to be him, but you
exactly.
just don't want to make that. Okay.
Yeah, and it's just like if your partner overheard that, how would you feel? Like you already know you'd be like, ugh, that don't look good. So if
Right.
you know it don't look good, like don't even do it. You know, like why are you don't play yourself, you know?
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's where I'm at. Yeah, it's a good recipe for disaster. You're definitely right. So I try. Now if it's someone who is just my friend, like I have some good friends who we have no, previous
No percentage.
romantic tie, no, none of that. um yeah, I don't want to, they're still going to be my friends, and I would accept his friends as well. Honestly, I feel like this: if you have a friend that was there before me, that's a female, and I have a male friend, our friends should know our other, the other partner. And if I can't meet that friend, and me and her can't cut up and stuff like that, then something ain't right, And a lot of times what ended up happening when you have opposite sex friends, like once they meet your spouse or your partner, then they end up becoming like sometimes closer than y'all. Because that's happened to me. That's happened to me
My
before.
wife. So there's two friends I've had over one since second grade and the other one since
Mhm.
sixth or seventh grade. They met and you know they end up being in the wedding, like even a bridesmaid.
Mm.
And I was like, well, I thought you, I thought we were
Well, that's
friends.
my friend. But it's good.
It was good. I was like, wow, that's really incredible. So,
Yeah, definitely.
thank you for having me. I'm
Thank
so happy
you.
to support you, in any way that I can. You have healthy conversations that are not just unproductive or bashing. I love your episodes. I've been following for years. So
Hmm.
if there's ways I can help in the future, please do think about me, and I'm gonna make sure I share this
Definitely.
out to my audience as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I appreciate it. I'm so happy that you got to join us and, talk about your book. It's kind of like one of the first times that you got to talk about it right on the platform.
Um, probably the third
Oh,
time.
okay. And you have your podcast, as well, right?
Well, I mean, because the thing is, I don't talk about the single husband that often, as we stated. But truth is, I think it's time.
It's
Uh,
time.
it's time. I'm releasing
And I'm
my.
gonna push it. I'm gonna push it. I'm gonna push it.
And I feel you and I don't mind a good challenge.
Yeah,
We're diamonds are made under pressure. So
that's right.
I'm
We
releasing
shining.
the last
We
book.
shining under it.
Yes, we are. So I feel like after this last book, the interview activator, I'm gonna definitely start talking about relationships a little bit more because it's essential not only in job interviews, like just
Hmm.
building relationships, but also what does your household look like? What does your relationships in your community look like?
Hmm.
How many relationships do you have as an extrovert versus an introvert? Do you have
Hmm.
introverts want more quality relationships versus
Hmm.
quantity? So would they be willing to let go of certain relationships that may be damaging to whatever they're building? There's a lot of
That's
other
good.
questions packed.
Yeah, and that's very interesting because I don't think I've thought about that. As far as I believe I'm an extrovert. Every once in a while, I have some moments when I get shy, which no one believes because I'm so, but but I have those moments, and yeah, and I love quality, but I do love like just interacting with folks, because I think you can get something. I think I find quality
Yeah.
in even the small, interactions, and so, or I make them quality. So
You
yeah,
know,
I make them quality. Like my sister says, she says. You can't just go order a sandwich, huh? It's an experience every time, huh? I'm like, yeah, the V experience, okay?
it's, but it's
so
so
where so where can so everybody can find you on Travis C. Patterson everywhere, correct?
everywhere. So I'm
Okay.
on I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I do have a Twitter as well, but I'm not up there.
I can't take Twitter.
Yeah,
Twitter, I'd be more out. I'd be like, wait, what?
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, they can
but
go anywhere. Travis C. Patterson, traviscpatterson.com, and where my book will be. But if they're interested in the single husband and wanted to learn a little bit more about maturing in your relationships and learning the importance of self love and self help and self growth, self
yeah,
acceptance, then definitely follow the single husband on uh, Instagram.
thank you. I love this so much because I really do think that, our brothers, men just in general can really learn, from other brothers,
Yeah,
and everyone talks about how there's not really all these outlets or
yeah,
support for men, and it's true to an extent, but I believe that it's out there. We just have to give, shine the light, shine the spotlight on men like yourself, so that other guys can have someone to learn from. A lot of them growing up without a dad, or maybe they have a dad but the dad is not really like talking to them. Some of my guy friends, they say, I wish my before my dad passed, I wish we would have more conversations and we
yeah,
would talk more. And so because sometimes I could imagine you would feel like, dang, like I could have learned these things, and I didn't get a chance to learn those things. And so instead of, I think sometimes people will project because they didn't get that leadership, and then so they project and blame everybody else. It's just like, no, this is an opportunity for you to use the internet
yeah.
and find some men that you would like to be like, or that you admire, you respect, and follow them, learn from them, because we all are actually learning from each other. So I just appreciate you so much for coming and being on here today.
Absolutely.
And yes, and just giving your perspective. And I really believe that it's going to help, some folks. And thank you to all the viewers. I appreciate you guys being here tonight. And make sure that you share this with someone, or everybody on your social media.
If
Yes, sir.
anyone wants to meet my wife, I would say, because she really is an extraordinary person. If you go on YouTube or even just on the internet and just type Patterson Ever After, like the
Oh,
happily ever after, but Patterson Ever After, you'll see a little movie, a small movie of how we met, and it's a really good little.
oh,
Check it out.
you can tell. Okay, I don't know if you told me about that. Oh, I can't wait. I'm gonna check it out too. And we definitely are going to do that. We have to have her on, so that we can kind of get the whole full Patterson experience.
I know, and she has her own story. She has her own version of how we met and how
Oh yes,
things are done.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you everyone for being here tonight. This is episode 7. And in 2 weeks, we'll be back for episode 8. And we'll be talking about trauma and attachment style. So, yeah, show up for that. Show up for that. We're going to be our best selves in 2022.
I know that's
All
right.
right. All right. Well, good night, everyone.
You guys have a good night. Thank you, Vic.